Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So we are in chapter 3, Surah Imran, which is the third chapter. And in this particular version of the Quran, in this the clear Quran, we are on page 37, verse number 169. And 169 highlights the importance of the martyrdom, the shaheed. And I have talked about the shaheed or martyrdom in the previous last couple of sessions as well, because we are transitioning from Al-Uhud, the Battle of Uhud, gradually moving on to other topics as well. This is the second battle which took place in Medina, close to Medina, and about 70 of the Muslims were martyred. The companions of the Prophet and companions of the Prophet, some of the very well-known figures were also martyred. So here in verse 169, never think of those martyred in the cause of God as dead. So in Islam, the people who are killed in the for sake of God, we are not allowed to say these are people who are dead. They, in fact, they are in a different realm, different place. We do not know how they are living. And in fact, there's a hadith which is in Imam Ahmad actually highlighted that hadith in his collection. And it says, one who enters the next world with good deeds is blessed by Allah with such a cheerful and joyful life that he never wishes to return to this world. Imagine you are in the heavens and paradise. Why would you want to come back to the earth? Earth is full of two things. It is full of depression and anxiety, fear and worries. That's all we carry throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. That's all we carry. We are either worried or we are fearful. Fear is for the future, worries are for the past. So why would you want to come back? But the case of martyr is different. He does wishes. He doesn't mean only male. It means the style of communication. This individual wishes that he should again be sent to this world so he may again enjoy the pleasure, joy, and he goes through the process and giving his life again for the sake of God. So the level of martyrdom is so high, the rewards are so high, that this individual wants to come back to the earth to die for the sake of God again. This is one of the hadiths, which is the saying of the Prophet. So the level of the martyrdom is very high. 169, in fact, they are alive with the Lord, well provided for. So in fact, another hadith mentions that they actually get the food, they actually visit the paradise before the day of resurrection, before the day of judgment. In 170, rejoicing in God's bounties and being delighted for those yet to join them. There'll be no fear for them, nor they will grieve. As I mentioned, and Sister Rhonda can tell us, the grief in Arabic is, what's the word? Huzn, right?
Huzn is just more than grief. It's sadness. It's something that actually will bring your heart down. It's an emotion that will affect on you very negatively. So, subhanallah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is like a famous ayah in the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made sure to the believers that those who are killed in his sake, they are not dead, they are alive. And that sacrifice they offered for his sake is so highly rewarded and appreciated that they will be in happiness. They will be so happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward them immensely. Like Allah promised them heaven, reserve their bodies, and we have so many stories about people who were killed, defending themselves and their countries and in the sake of Allah, and how their bodies were reserved, like they did not dissolve. Like the smell of Jannah and misk is there when they open their graves, and that time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised them that they have done the ultimate sacrifice and they will be living in prosperity, eternity. So the rewards for that action is worth it. And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them a great rewards and blessing, and their final rewards is the highest level of Jannah.
Yeah, which we
With
discussed
the prophets
last-
and
last week. I shared some stories as well. The people who are martyred and their graves were dug after hundreds of years, and people witnessed. In fact, in some cases, several 100,000 people gathered when they were digging the graves because of the flood situation and moving their bodies to another place after 1,000+ years, and their bodies were intact, and the blood was coming from their bodies. They were just like buried.
Yes.
The second word I want to highlight is khawf. Khawf is the fear. The huzn and the khawf. These are the two words are mentioned in the Quran very frequently, because that's what we go through as human beings. We are going through these either fear of things which are unknown to us, which we call it anxiety. People actually have anxiousness, anxiety all the time, and also people have depression and sadness and worries. I wish I did this. I wish I bought this house. I wish I married this person. I wish. So Allah says, when you enter the paradise, none of these feelings, emotions will overcome you. These will be removed from you. Imagine, have you ever felt absolute contentment and calmness in this life? Maybe you did, maybe for a few seconds, maybe for a day. That is the kind of feeling we are going to have, and of course many more times. So that's what it's highlighting here. Will have no fear for them, nor will they grieve. In 171, they are joyful for receiving God's grace and bounty, and that God does not deny the reward of the believers. Whatever you do, nothing will be rejected. And in fact, the situation of the Muslim and a believer, I just want to highlight very quickly, only for a few seconds. Muslims are not guaranteed Jannah. If you feel that I'm Muslim, I'm going to live my life the way I want to live, they are not guaranteed Jannah. The mu'min is guaranteed Jannah, guaranteed in a way that Allah will be happy with them. Mu'min is a person who practices consciously. They do make mistakes, but they are every single day of their life, they are consciously practicing, following the guidelines of Islam. In 172, as for those who responded to the call of God and His Messenger after their injury, those of them who did good and were mindful of God will have a great reward. This is also the continuation of the discussion from last week when Battle of Uhud, Muslims were defeated. And I had mentioned that the non-Muslim army from Mecca who attacked the Medina, attacked the Muslims, somehow they decided not to continue and crush the Medina, crush all the Muslims at that time. They actually decided to leave, and on their way back, they actually stopped. Their leader, Abu Sufyan, stopped, and they started discussing, how come we did not continue and crush them all? And they actually stopped. And remember, a lot of Muslims had been killed at that time. Prophet was badly injured. They actually, the Prophet came up with a strategy to show some kind of resilience. They actually gathered some army, Muslims army, who were already injured, and they started pursuing them. Believe me or not, Muslims actually left Medina and moved towards the other army about 8 miles out of Medina to defend themselves, just in case if these non-Muslim army come back and attack Medina again. So they went all the way to 8 miles outside of Medina to defend the Medina and Muslims in that region. So this is what Allah is highlighting here. Those who were warned in 173, your enemies have mobilized their forces against you, so fear them. The warning only made them grow stronger in faith, and they replied, God alone is sufficient as an aid for us, and He is a... So there were a lot of people who were hypocrites, the people who were creating these rumors that you will be crushed, you can't defend yourself. So God is actually highlighting that particular issue in this case as well. So, and in fact, if you want to know the exact spot the Muslim gathered, the spot is called Hamra al-Asad, 8 miles out of Medina, and that's where they gathered to defend Medina. In fact, after the Uhud, which is the third year of Hijrah, third year of migration from Makkah to Medina, the following year, there was a drought in Mecca. There was severe drought in Mecca. But the Abu Sufyan, who was the leader of Meccan army, the non-Muslim army, who was non-Muslim at that time, the following year, the 4th of Hijrah, he actually sent a person to spread rumors in Medina that we are coming and going to attack Medina in the 4th year as well, the following year. And Muslims were discouraged. Muslims were like heartbroken that they were already badly injured in the previous year, and they lost a lot of people. So the Prophet actually made an announcement that we need to go and defend Muslims. This is the 4th year of Hijrah. So Muslims were hesitating, and Prophet announced, he made a famous command that even if none of you join me, I will go alone by myself and defend Muslims. Then about 1,500 of Muslims in Medina, they gathered, and they went close to the Badr area, and they waited for 8 days. And Meccan army also, again, this is just a historical view I'm providing you. The Meccan army also left Mecca, but on their way to that location, they decided not to pursue it. They decided to go back. They said, we are already facing the severe drought. This is not a good year to attack Muslims. We'll probably come back the following year. So just wanted to provide the historical view on that one. So this is what it's highlighting here, that this exactly what happened. So they in 174, so they returned with God's favors and grace, suffering no harm. This is what Allah is highlighting. For they sought to please God, and surely God is the Lord of infinite bounty. In 175, the warning was only from Satan. So Satan, which is the devil, in every religion, this particular entity exists, conceptually it exists, and we have some whispers. We call it waswasa. The word whisper comes from waswasa. When you hear that's waswasa, basically kind of suddenly you're getting this hint. You know what, remember that girlfriend from 12th grade? Remember that drinking, we had a lot of fun? So those are the waswasas. Whenever you hear those waswasas, that's what the Satan is talking to you. That's not your own idea. You do not want to harm yourself consciously. Those are the waswasas of the shaitan. So when you hear those things, my current wife, my current husband, my previous girlfriend and boyfriend were better, those are the waswasas. Muslims are happy in all circumstances, in good or bad. In fact, there's no such thing as a failure. I always mention that. It's only an opportunity for you to do something better. So be aware of those waswasas as well. In 176, O Prophet, do not grieve those who raised to disbelief. So Prophet was, like all prophets, Jesus, Moses, Abraham, peace be upon all of them, they were very sensitive individuals. They loved their community. They loved their men and women in their community. So whenever they felt these individuals either are not listening to the message, they were very sad. The Prophet was very sad. So here Allah is telling the Prophet, do not grieve for those who raise to disbelieve. Surely they will not harm God in the least. Nothing we do on this earth, from the first human being to the last human being, can impact anything to this universe. There's absolutely no impact to the universe. We are, not to break your heart, we are insignificant. None of us, once we die, will make any difference to the world. None of the leaders, no difference whatsoever. This is how insignificant we are. However, when you do good deeds, that's where you're spreading the goodness, and you're spreading the righteousness. That's our goal, to please God in every single, and that's the definition of a Muslim. Muslim is a person who him or herself surrender or give up their desires. The desires are the one which we call it nafs. The desires are the one which basically make you do things. You already have a nice Corolla, you can't wait to have a BMW. You already have a BMW, you can't wait to have another one, a Jeep. You already have a Jeep, you can't wait to have a Porsche. You already have a Porsche, you want another one. Now you want for your wife a pink one. Muslims try to control their desires. There's nothing wrong to acquire things as long as We are not exaggerating. We are not showing off. We control our desires. And this applies in every aspect. This applies in our intentions, in our speech, in our possessions. So that's what our goal is. And that's the definition of Muslim. Muslim is person who surrenders him or herself, their desires for sake of God. It is God's will to disallow them to share in the hereafter, and they will suffer a tremendous punishment. Those who trade belief for disbelief will never harm God in the least. They will suffer a painful punishment. And again, just want to make a comment here. You will hear some of the non-believers, they will say, well, look at Christian God. Christian God is all about love. Look at the Muslim God. There's a mention of the hellfire. There's a mention of the punishment. Well, it's mentioned in the Bible as well. Imagine a person who rapes your child and you say, oh, I'm going to forgive that person. Person who kills over and over again, you say, I'm going to leave that person again. Look what happened with the proposition which was passed in 2014 in California. What devastation we had in state of California. You commit any sins, you loot any store, immediately let them go. I found people stealing in Target. I went to the security officer. I said, this person is stealing this. He said, there's nothing we can do. Let him steal. One person was carrying a big item in front of me. I followed him. I said, there are two security officers in Target. They said, he is stealing this one. They said, there's nothing. If we catch him, police comes, they let them go. This is how we lost all the Democrat seats in state of California, in-house. This is how the impact it can have. People are feeling unsafe. So imagine you create horrible things on this earth. You kill thousands of innocent people and you say there's no punishment for those individuals. Where is the justice then? So in Islam, we believe in justice. Sometimes we do not get the justice here. And the God is the most just. He's the judge. On the day of judgment, they will receive the justice. So when you hear those kind of comments, they are liars. They are liars. Because look at their own setup. They attack another country because they want the justice. And they kill millions of innocent people. And I can quote many of those in last 20, 25 years. So those who trade belief for disbelief will never harm God in the least. They will suffer a severe punishment in 177. In 178, those who disbelieve should not think living longer is good for them. They're only given more time to increase in sin, and they'll suffer a humiliating punishment. I just want to highlight something here. A lot of Christian channels and a lot of other channels, they portray, if you are in a favor of God, you will get in abundance. You will get everything in abundance. This is a lie. God tests people with wealth and without wealth. God tests people with beauty without beauty. God tests people with relationships or no families. God is going to test you in different ways. So not necessarily if you don't have a lot of possession, you are not in a favor of God. Maybe, in fact, Islam actually believes when you have more, you're answerable to God in more. Because on the day of judgment, what did you do with that wealth? What did you do with that beauty? So you will be answerable in that way as well. So don't ever fall in that kind of mindset that somehow rich people actually are favored by God. It's not Islamic concept here. It's a Christian concept. That doesn't mean anything whatsoever. In fact, there are 5 pillars of Islam. One of the pillars is zakat. Zakat is the charity. Our own Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he never paid zakat. He was never wealthy enough to pay zakat. Imagine if you don't have enough wealth, one of the pillars, you're not even obligated. You don't have enough wealth, you don't even have to go to Hajj. For Hajj, which is one of the 5th pillar of Islam, it's required for every Muslim who actually has wealth or health. So a lot of these obligations are not even applicable on you. So don't fall into that trap that somehow people with a lot of wealth are favored by God. That's not an Islamic concept. Those who disbelieve should not think they will live longer is good for them. They are only given more time to increase in sin, and they will face a severe punishment. In 179, God would not leave the believers in the condition you were in until he distinguished the good from the evil among you. Nor would God directly reveal to you unseen. But he chooses whoever he wills as a messenger. So believe in God and his messengers. And if you're faithful and mindful of God, you'll receive a great reward. So God is not going to tell you who is the hypocrite and who's not a hypocrite. That is between that individual and God. But God creates a circumstances which separates a believer from a non-believer. And this did happen in Uhud, Battle of Uhud. Remember the 1,000 people of army, 300 of the Muslims left. They said, we are not going to fight today. And that's the circumstance which clearly distinguished the believers from the non-believers. They say we are believers. When it comes to the practices, they will do the opposite. So this is what it's highlighting here. Reward of the stinginess, and do not let those who greedily withhold God's bounties think it is good for them. In fact, it is bad for them. This is what I highlighted earlier, that when you have wealth, that's a bigger test. You have to be more careful, because now, and by the way, the zakat itself is not that much. You have $100, you owe $2.50 to the poor and needy. $2.50. You have $1,000, you owe $25. You have $10,000, you owe $250. That is not that much. But more you have, more difficult it will become for you to give to poor and needy. And there are 8 categories mentioned in Surah Tawbah, which are applicable for those categories. Nor would God directly reveal to you. He chooses whoever he wills as a messenger, so he believes in God. I finished that one. And do not let those who greedily withhold God's bounty think it is good for them. In fact, it is bad for them. They will be leashed by their necks, by their wealth. The car will be as a leash on the day of judgment if that is something you were hoarding. Muslims are not hoarders. Muslims, that doesn't mean, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. It doesn't mean in Islam you cannot be rich. Some of the richest people in the world are Muslims. Mm-hmm. The richest person ever in the face of the earth was a black African American Muslim, Mansa Musa, the king of Mali. Some of the smartest people mentioned in the Quran was Luqman. Luqman was African American, the wisest human being ever lived. There's a surah called Surah Luqman, the chapter called Luqman, wisest human being.
He was not American, but he was.
Yeah. So remember, at that time, South America, North America, Australia, Antarctica did not exist in a sense that we had not discovered those lands yet. So it was only Europe, Asia, and Africa. So people congregated over there. That doesn't mean the native people were not living in South and North America and Australia. They were living there. Somehow they reached thousands of years before we discovered these lands. But what we are saying is that these are the people who are clearly mentioned. So we are not in any way in a racial or discrimination based on looks and colors and languages. Islam does not believe any one of those things. Islam believes in one criteria and one criteria only, which is the taqwa, the God consciousness, the mindfulness of God. If you have the taqwa, which means every decision you make, everything you utter is based on the consciousness. I don't want to break somebody's heart. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I don't want to take somebody's property. That consciousness makes you the highest level, brings you to the highest level, makes you a better person. Everything else is not the criteria for God. On the day of judgment, PhDs and wealth and the cars and the families and the sons and none of these things will matter. Like last week I mentioned, God is going to show me your heart. Show me what's in your heart. And the heart will be opened up. Because that's where all the things are hidden. Well, I can manipulate things with my logic, especially when you start using logic. It doesn't make any sense that so and so is this way. I want to make it this way. The logic is going to drive you crazy. And Islam is the most scientific religion. Remember, the woman did not have in Christianity, they were not even human beings accepted. They were debating in Europe, are they even humans or not humans? Do they even have a soul or no soul? Women were given rights you can't even imagine, for inheritance, for the leadership. And the rights are exactly the same the women have on men and men have on women. These are the rights given by our religion. So don't fall into those traps when you hear some of those things. So when you hoard this wealth, it will be leashed by their necks on the day of judgment with whatever wealth they use to withhold. It's a withholding, hiding your wealth, not distributing to your family members. Doesn't matter they're non-Muslims. You need to take care of your moms and dads. You need to take care of your siblings. They are in desperate need. Do not withhold. And in Islam, I can give you my personal examples. When you give $1, you get $10 back. Sometimes within a week, sometimes within a month. I get a check and I tell my wife, I have no idea how I got this check. I have absolutely no idea. And I can tell you this numerous times. When you give $10, you get $100 back. 10 times. God actually promises, Rasulullah promised, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your donation, your charity never decreases your wealth. And the charity starts with your family. Take care of your family. Then go to the extended family, your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your aunts, your uncle. Doesn't matter they're believers or not believers. The only thing is the zakat money cannot be given to non-believers. But the other charities, other sadaqah, you can give it to your non-Muslim family members. Take care of them. Your friends. Then go to your community. Then go to the other parts of the society as well. So that is our responsibility to have a bigger heart. God is the sole inheritor of the heavens and the earth. God is all aware of what you do. Blasphemy exposed. This is in 181. This is the same thing we actually talked about. And this is the story behind it. In Surah Baqarah, the second chapter, God actually stated, this is what we discussed a long time ago, several months ago, that who is there to give loan to God? And the Jewish of Medina, they started making fun of Muslims. Your God is so poor that he's asking for the loan. This was in the context that God is saying, when you take care of people, it's like a giving loan to God, and the day of judgment, God is going to return back to you many, many, many folds. Imagine, let's say my friend Talim needs some money. He's in desperate shape. He doesn't have food for his kids. He's not married yet, but inshallah. I take care of him. God promises this is the loan on me. That's what in Surah Baqarah Allah is mentioning. And that I'm going to, on the day of judgment, I'm going to return you many, many. In fact, there's one state, Muslims, when they die, one thing they will say, God, please, please send me back so I can give more charity. They are not asking for Umrah or Hajj or more prayers or other deeds. They say, can I go back and give more charity? So Muslims are supposed to be open-hearted people. They should not be stingy. If you find a stingy person, they cannot be a practicing Muslims. Muslims cannot be stingy people. Again, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. In Islam, we don't give away everything. That's not what we are saying. When there's a person in your circle, they are needy, help them in any shape and form you can. And you can help them. Remember, I mentioned 4 things, 4 T's. You can help with their treasures, with your money. You can help with your time. If you have time, you can volunteer. You can help with your talent. If you have certain skills, you can post something on social media. That is your talent. You can help your thought, your dua, with your supplication. Those are the 4 T's. So it's not only the treasure, time, your talent, as well as your dua, which is your thought as well. So in 181, indeed, God has heard those among the Jews who said, God is poor, we are rich. We have certainly recorded their slurs and their killing of prophets unjustly. Then we say, taste the torment of burning. This is directly talking to Jewish people because they used to mock the prophet and the companions that your God is so stingy, so poor that he needs loan from us. And God is answering them that for saying such slurs, you will be burning in the hell forever. There's no coming out of the hell. I don't want to be there for a fraction of a second, billionth of a second, nanosecond. You don't have to think about it. And how do you, and by the way, this is also, if you want to go in more detail, let me actually read the next one. This is the reward for your lords who have done. God is never unjust to his creation. These are the same people in 183, then I'll actually give you the context of this one. The same people who say God has commanded us not to believe in any messenger unless he brings us an offering to be consumed by fire from the sky. Say, O prophet, other prophets did in fact come to you before me with your clear proofs and even what you demanded. Why then did you kill them? This is directly talking to Jewish people. Who killed, according to Christianity, who killed Jesus? Jewish. That's why Catholics hated them more than anything else. Catholics in 15 European countries killed them, kicked them out from every European country. Who created the Protestantism? Go and read the history. Jewish people created a counter force because they hated the Catholics. The Protestantism, Martin Luther King in Germany, go and look at the influence of the Jewish people on him. This was created so they can feel safe. At the time of Elijah, Prophet Elijah, peace be upon him, which is called in Arabic, it's called Elias. They said, okay, if you want to prove it to us that our offering, let's say our slaughter is accepted, then send us a thunder or fire, and if it is consumed by the fire, then this is in, you want to read in Bible, Judges 20:21, Leviticus 19:20, and Chronicles which is book number 7, 1-2. You can also read this in Kings 18 and 19. This is all discussed in the Bible. You can read any one of those books, that how Elijah was asked that send a thunder, if the God is real, send a thunder or some kind of fire so it can consume that particular slaughter. That's what is being highlighted, and God is answering that you're asking for a proof like you did. Then how come even the proof was provided to you? Elijah was running for his life. He was afraid to be killed by these Jewish people. And they killed John the Baptist. They killed Jesus, peace be upon him. Muslims don't believe Jesus was killed. Allah saved him. Muslims believe Jesus is alive. But this is apparently, this is what happened at that time. So, and if you what say is true, 184, I have a couple of more verses, inshallah, then I'll stop. If you are rejected by them, so too were messengers before you came with clear proofs, divine books, and enlightening scripture. So we as human beings, we tend to stay with our own lifestyle. Whatever my parents are doing, whatever my forefathers, my society, my community is doing, we try to stay connected with them. It is hard for us to see the truth and the righteousness. So that's what sometimes we stay in that mindset, even if we recognize that 1 + 1 + 1 is not 1. Mathematically, it's impossible. 1/3 + 1/3 + 1/3 is 1 mathematically. 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. I have spoken to numerous Christians. Nobody knows the answer. This is all created by humans. There's only one God, and Jesus was not the God. If he was created, he got a birth. He cannot be in the mold of the definition of God. God cannot be created. God cannot die. God is the pre-existing before anything is existed. That's the definition of God. So the last verse, I'm going to ask Sister Rhonda to read verse 185, because the verse 85 you will hear many, many times. And Sister Rhonda, you can read from Kullu Nafsin Za'iqatul Maut.
Yeah, sure. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كل نفس ذائقة الموت وإنما توفون أجوركم يوم القيامة فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور.
Thank you, Sister Rhonda. You're going to hear this kullu nafsin dhaikatul maut. Kulla means all of them, every one of them. Dhaika is the taste. Every living thing is going to taste. In Urdu also, what do we say in taste in Urdu or Hindi? Zaika. It's the same word we use in Urdu and Hindi. Zaika is the taste. Every living thing is going to taste is al-maut. Maut is the death. In Urdu and Hindi, we use the same word as well. Every single one of you are going to die. We talked about this last week and week before, and you say, but while you are talking so much about death, I'm still young, I'm only 20, 21, because we just need to be aware, one day we are going to get old. I'm going to die. Nobody's going to care. After 2 generations, your great-grandchildren will not even know your name. I'm telling you, go and find out. Some of you probably know your great-grandfather's and great-grandmother's name. Most of us, we don't even know their names. Nobody cares. Immediate family, they will cry for a week, a month, maybe a year. They move on. Your wife is going to get married with somebody else. Your husband is going to be with somebody else. Your kids, they will be busy fighting for the money and the house you left. Nobody cares. Once we understand this, once we understand we are going to die, Elon Musk is going to die. Everything will be left here. You say, well, how dare you say Elon Musk is going to die? Well, before Elon Musk, Steve Jobs died. And if you just look at 2024, on December 31st, you're going to see a list of those people. You say, really? He died? Really? She died? This is how insignificant we are. So this particular starting of this verse, every single nafs is used in many different ways. Nafs sometimes means self. Nafs sometimes means the psyche, or the ego. Nafs sometimes also means the soul. It has many, many different meanings in Arabic. So it's a very large word. And nafs sometimes also is driven by desires. So it's a being driven by desire. So it has many different meanings. And I'll let Sister Rhonda explain in just in a bit. And then this particular verse ends with وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعَ الْغُرُورِ. That this particular life is nothing. And in fact, if you read in the end of verse 85, I'm going to read the whole thing. This world is no more than the delusion of enjoyment. Please read this one again, over and over again. Remember, you were in London for a week. You remember you were in Paris for a month. Remember you were in Dubai for two weeks. Remember. It's just a memory. All that best food you had is just a memory. The taste of the things you tasted. It's just a memory. Remember you had a relationship with that, and it's just a memory. It is nothing but delusion of enjoyment. That's what it is. I mean, I am probably the oldest sitting here. I'm telling you, we talked about this one last week. It passes like this. It passes like this. You will recognize this when you hit 40 and 50 and 60, and then you'll say, he was right. Life is so fast. So fast. When my first son was born, people started saying, spend time with them, they're going to grow very quickly. Suddenly they are in college. It just passes so quickly. This is how short this life is. So every soul will taste death, and you will only receive your full reward on the day of judgment. If you feel somehow because of your, by the way, living in this country, if you have not lived any other place, I have lived in many countries. I have traveled in many, many places. This is the best place if you compare with other countries. Compare with Italy. I know Sister Caitlin lived in Italy. It is nothing as compared to what we have here. Compare with France. Compare with Germany. Compare with, we have everything. We have the best place. You want to become a millionaire? This is the place. You want to have whatever you want. You want a land of 1,000 acres. You can buy 1,000 acres here. Where are you going to find 1,000 acres in France or in England? In England especially. It's a small island. This is the place. We are in the best place with best kind of open-mindedness comparatively. Try to live in other places and say, I want to have freedom of speech. I want to have freedom of expression. So you will have full reward on the day of judgment. So if you feel that somehow you did not get what you deserve because of your race, because of your background, because of your family, on the day of judgment, Allah is going to recompensate you. Allah is going to reimburse you in thousands and thousands of folds. We can't even imagine. So don't feel disheartened. Muslims cannot be a depressed individual. Muslims cannot be hopeless individuals. If you're hopeless about something, you cannot be a practicing Muslim. Muslims are happy and positive and optimistic individuals. Whoever is spared from the fire, if you don't go to the fire, and God is saying, is admitted into paradise, will indeed the greatest successful individual. Imagine the first thing you're going to hear is salam from the angels. And in fact, the gates of the paradise, there are 8 of them, people will be stuck to enter the paradise. There'll be so many people are trying to, and each gate, the one hadith says, about 600 miles on the horseback. From one side of the gate to the other side of the gate, if the horse is going with the full force, it's 600 miles is the distance. This is how big the gates are. And people are trying to get in the paradise. There'll be that many, inshallah. And inshallah, I'll see you if we are steadfast. And once you enter, the first thing you're going to hear is Assalamu alaikum by the angel. And you will recognize that place like this is your own place. You know, when you're driving on a freeway and you are trying to figure it out to go to your house and you are not even thinking you get to your house on a freeway, that's how it's going to be in a paradise. You're going to find your palace, your location directly. And the first thing is Allah is going to remove the depression, hopelessness, anxiety from your being completely. You will never be. And before you even enter the paradise, you'll say, I don't see Talim. I don't see so-and-so individuals. What happened to them? They were with me. They were in the masjid. We did the charity. We did the volunteering. And you will hear, God forbid, they are in the hell. Some of these people will argue with God. Not fight, but argue with, I want this into. I'm not entering without my son. I'm not entering without my wife. They will argue, and Allah will be so merciful on that day. Allah will tell the angels, go and find these individuals. These people are adamant to take them with them to the paradise. Angels will bring those individuals from the bottom of the hell, and they will be accompanying you. That's the true success. That's what the triumph we are talking about here. And if you have a certain rank in Jannah, if your family member is a lower rank, you will not be going to God is so merciful, He's going to upgrade those individuals. Imagine you're sitting in a first class and your wife is sitting in a business class or economy class. She will be upgraded, and vice versa. If she is in first class, you are actually in the hell. She has the right to fight, and she say, I want this individual with me. The people whose children die, those children are waiting. On the day of judgment, they will say, I did not find the love of my parents. I want my parents to go to paradise with me. So you want to be surrounded in this life, surrounded by the like-minded people, good people. Let me correct myself, not like-minded, but good people. Those people might save you on the day of judgment. So please understand the enormity of this particular issue. You are with guys and girls with a foul language. Get rid of them today. Say, if you continue to use this foul language, this F word and this racial words, I don't want to be in that company anymore. You want to be the company with the beautiful words, beautiful actions, beautiful things. What do we get to go to these concerts, to go to these bars and go to these Friday, Saturday, we are drunk? What do we get? Nothing. Nothing. We just come home and throw up. You say, how do you know? I have seen it. I have never tasted a drop of alcohol in my life. I have never tasted any kind of drug in my life. I have lived the most wholesome life, most complete life. I cannot, that doesn't mean don't have difficulties. All of us, we have different challenges. Your challenges are different from my challenges. I know some of you have gone through those kind of avenues, and you can actually give me some more support. What I'm saying is, this is a rubbish life you have been living. Come to the wholesome life where you can hear good things, where you can see good things. I don't need to see naked women on the beach. That is not the reason Allah created my eyes. And when you're married and when you have a relationship, you're not having intimacy, sexual intimacy the whole time. If you look at your 70 years is 25,000 days in an entire life. If you live 80 years, that's about 30,000 days. And 1/3 you're sleeping, 1/3 you're working or doing other kind of things. You're having sexual activity only very, very small percentage of your life. And for that, we are ruining our entire lives. Doesn't make any sense. So please understand, every soul will taste death, and you will only receive your full reward on the day of judgment. Whoever is spared from the fire, I want to be spared. And I asked Sister Caitlin, please pray for me, pray for my family, pray for Sister and her family, and you guys, anybody. Your prayer today is better than anything we can ask for, because on the Allah side, you are like an angel, purest, pious, absolutely purest and pious. And anybody and you can actually declare Shahada at any time, at any day. When you say, oh Allah, I repent my previous sins and I do istighfar for the future sins, and I am actually turning back to you, you're like a pure newborn baby on that particular day as well. And admitted to para will indeed triumph, whereas the life of this world is no more than delusion of this enjoyment. So we will end with that one, inshallah. Inshallah, we'll continue next time.